Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. This is a YouTube live event, which means no editing. I'm super excited to be with you tonight. Now, if you're like me, it is March 23rd, 2020. We're in the middle of a pandemic for the coronavirus, and I'm a little lonely. So I thought, great idea to get on with you guys live. I've got great inspiration for you tonight, and we could spend some time together. Now, I want to let you know a little bit about tonight's card. I'm going to teach you how to braid paper. And you're probably thinking, braid paper? Yes. And the great news is I have a template for you that you can download for free. Now, I want to go over a couple things with you too about that template, but just give me a minute. In addition to the card I'm going to demonstrate for you tonight, I have several other samples to share with you. But in addition to braiding the paper, I'm going to teach you two different paper crafting techniques in that same card. So it's really a lot of information tonight and a lot of inspiration for you. And as always, I'm going to provide you with lots of tips along the way. Now, a couple housekeeping items. The first is you're going to be able to find the link for the template along with pictures, cutting dimensions, and the supplies that I'm using tonight underneath this video. Now, I get asked this question quite a bit, so I want to go over it with you. Underneath the title of the video, you'll see my name. Underneath that, you'll see the start of a description for the video, and you'll see the words show more. If you click the words show more, it's going to expand the text to allow you to scroll through to find the link near the bottom, which will navigate you over to that download and everything else I just mentioned to you. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about is Megan. Megan is my assistant, and she's here on live with us to help interact with you and to answer your questions. Because obviously, you've come to watch, and it's really difficult for me to try to answer your questions while I'm trying to stamp and papercraft at the same time. So, Megan's here to help you with that. I do come back and read every single comment and respond to them. If it's something Megan's not able to answer, I will pin that comment to the top of the comment thread here underneath this video. All right, what do you guys say? Let's get started. Let me turn the camera down. I am so glad that you're all here with me tonight. Give me just a second to zoom you in and get you all set up. Anybody else a little bit bored staying in the house during this time? Well, I've got lots of inspiration for you. All right, let's start first by doing the braid. Now, I'm going to show this to you first. This is going to be what the template looks like. Now, I know you're probably thinking, this is pretty crude looking. It is, but it works amazing. I'm going to actually cut this and I'm going to show you from start to finish how this works so that when you download it, you've got all the steps involved. There are 4 templates on one sheet. So what I'd like to do is take one of my scissors. This is just a longer tipped pair here. I'm going to cut one of those out. You cannot reuse these, or I don't recommend that you reuse them. Let's put it that way. Now we're going to have to trim this. So right on the solid black line here, you're going to want to take your scissors and you're going to cut as precisely as you can. So I'm going to cut right on that black line because it's going to have to go in a special spot on this card so that we can get those little cut lines in place. So I'm going to cut here and then I'm going to cut a little bit of there away. All right, so that takes care of that. Let me move that out of the way. That leaves us with this. Now, down here at the bottom, you're going to see it handwritten, the word fold. That means this is going to be against the fold of your card. So I've got a piece of crumb cake cardstock here. I did score it in half right before you joined me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold that. I'm just going to line it up the best I can. Anybody else score and sometimes you're off by just a smidgen? Well, that's going to make a big difference tonight for this special type of braid paper. So you're going to want to make sure that that is as equal as possible on both sides. We're going to work along this edge. Now I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit more because I want to be able to have you see the details. Now remember I said the word fold here is at the bottom. That is going to go right here along the fold of the card. Do you see that? This is the crease. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking to line this up so that black end here that's printed is actually falling at the top of my card and the other end is falling at the bottom of my card. And I just want to line that up very, very carefully. Now, here's an important tip for you. I want you to grab yourself a paper clip. I'm going to put one here at the top, and we're going to put another one at the bottom because I've tried doing this without paper clipping it, and it really is quite cumbersome for me. Now, I am right-handed, so I'm going to turn this so I can hold it with my left hand and cut with my right. So keep in mind, if you're other-handed, you're going to want to turn this around. I love to use my paper snips for these because they have a shorter tip on them, which is going to allow me to make sure that I'm cutting right on this template. That's really important. You want to cut as precisely as possible. Do you see these little dashed lines here? That's an indication you don't want to go beyond that because that's going to create the braid for the card. So I'm going to hold it here and I'm going to start. You're going to see me cutting pretty deep down in my scissors so I can control where I'm going. So I've got one cut here and I've got another cut here. All right, now I'm going to work these down to the bottom. Now I just want to let you know, like most of us, we're a little bored right now. Some of you may be a little concerned over the pandemic that's going on, but you know what? I want you to use this time very intentionally. This is a time where maybe we can clean out a closet. We can send our handmade cards to those that need a little bit of encouragement, maybe even to those that are in the first responder type career fields, firemen, nurses, doctors, all those people that you know that are reaching out to help our community. All right, so there we go. We've got those done. I'm going to remove the bottom one first. That's that paper clip. I'm going to hold it here. The great thing about this is that you can see it's really hard for my hand to reach this. I have small hands. But these slit marks actually kind of hold the paper in place. So I'm going to come over these and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I want to try to get right on top of those and stay in your camera view at the same time. There we go. Okay, going to do the same thing up here. Going to remove this as well. Also, those people that are in assisted living or those who are recovering maybe from chemotherapy or undergoing treatment, they cannot leave the house under any way, shape, or form. So your handmade cards, guess what, are a hug in the mail to them. So I hope you're going to use this idea tonight and create some cards for those people that you know. All right, I'm going to remove this, and that's going to leave us this edge. I know it's probably not looking like much here in the video. I'm going to discard this. And as I said, you do not want to reuse this. I have not found it to be very effective. So let me just toss that. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to open this up. And again, I know that's going to be hard to see. Can you see those little lines? It looks like a bunch of arrows, doesn't it? Well, this is where the braiding comes in. You're going to start at the bottom. So you're going to take this very first one and you're going to want to put your fingers right back here and you're going to push this down. I'm also going to move you in a little bit here on the screen so you can see a little bit better. This first one is very, very important. Not only do you want to make sure that you have it creased here, we're actually going to cut this one off. So I'm going to come in here with my scissors. And again, I like to use my paper snips. So I'm going to come in just as close as I possibly can. And I've got one here, and then I'm going to turn it because I'm right-handed. And I'm going to do the next one here. Actually, you know what? This time I'm going to close it up because I'm trying to keep in your camera view. It's never easy. And then I'm going to cut the other one off. Okay, we got to save this piece. We need this. So let's just put that off to the side for a second. All right, so we've got this. Now I got to move you back out, and we're going to start braiding. Just so that you can see a little bit better, I'm going to put some white scratch paper underneath here. These are the small grid sheets. And I'm going to lay this open because I think the contrast between the cardstock and here is not easy to see. All right, we're going to start right above this, and we're going to poke that little arrow out. Do you see it? And I'm putting my fingers here to make sure I'm near the fold, and I'm going to push it all the way down. Do you notice how it kind of overlaps this triangle here? This is where we're going to tuck right behind. That's going to create the first braid. Now we're going to do the exact same thing now, and we're going to work our way up. Take your time. Boy, have I rushed through this and I've made some mistakes, which means I didn't fold this down enough and I didn't have anything to tuck. So just take your time. This is super easy. This is a great project for the kids right now at home. If you have school age kids, give them the template. Just print it out on regular copy paper. That's all I did. And let them attach this to the crease and let them braid a bunch of cards. Let them decorate the front however they want. And let's get these cards in the mail to people who really need some encouragement right now. I always say a card in the mail is like a hug. So there we go. We've got one more here at the top, and then we're going to tuck that behind. Look at that. Isn't that cool? But you see how the pattern ends here? So we've got to finish that. This is that piece that we saved. All right. Now we're going to attach this. Just for the sake of tonight's live, I'm going to use glue dots. Now you can use a little dab of liquid glue. That works too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to complete that pattern. So I've got one of my glue dots here. And I'm going to put that here on the top tip. And it's probably going to be a smidgen too big. So I'm going to roll that to the back. And then I've got my other tip here. I'm going to tap that in place. And I'll wrap that to the back too. All right, so that little arrowish is going to be really important. I am going to tuck it behind to make my life easy. I'm looking to line up that score line, and I'm going to put one on each end. So I'm going here, and then I'm going to move my hand, and I'm going to go here. All right, so far so good. All right, now we're going to fold it. Look at that cool lattice. Isn't that neat? And then look, now we've got this. Now, I like to take my bone folder, but really important, you don't go like this. You don't want to rip it. So I kind of just go over it and I press it down. That's going to help ensure that all these pieces stay intact, especially when it's coming in and out of the envelope. Okay, real important. All right, so there we go. Now comes the fun part. Now we get to decorate. Well, you know what? That was kind of fun. I probably shouldn't say that because that was fun and super easy. But I've got two other techniques to share with you for the decoration of this card. All right, I'm going to be using in the tropics dies. I don't know why I was into the timeless tropical thing because it's part of a suite. So this is the stamp set that coordinates with these dies. Now I took a couple dies out and I'll talk to you about those in just a minute. So you can buy the stamp set individually or the dies individually, or you can buy them as a bundle. I love buying bundles because who wants to fussy cut this, right? You want to have the dies. But this die set includes two additional dies that are not part of the stamp set. And here they are. Check out this pineapple. Oh my gosh. And that's what I'm going to use for tonight's card. Now, I want to talk to you just a second about these products because I get a lot of questions about this. Where are they? Well, they're in the current mini catalog right here. And I'm going to tell you, if you live in the US and you don't already have a demonstrator, I've got a whole stack of catalogs I would love to send out. All you have to do is head over to lisastampstudio.com, click on contact me, and I'll send it to you for free. And I send those priority mail. There are just a few days left in Stampin' Up's largest sale of the year. I will not have this to include with your catalogs because literally it's ending on the 31st of March. But a $50 order in product is going to score you a free item from here. Yep. So that's where that all came from. Let me get my dies out of the way and let's talk about what I did with these. All right, let's start first with the base of my pineapple. I decided to use gold foil. Now, if you're like me, you often don't cut it the size that you need. I'm not lazy, but I just pull out what I've got, right? And then when I go to die cut this, what happens is my cutting pads, well, these are really nice looking right now. Can you see how I used it earlier today? But usually these are well etched. So if this is a longer or wider piece of paper, a scrap that I've used, when I put these etched plates on top of here, I find that this etching transfers to the good portion that's left over of my foil. So let me give you a tip. I put a piece of plain computer white paper over the top before I put this on top of here. Of course, there's another clear mat underneath it. And then I crank it through my die cutting machine. That's going to ensure any leftover foil that I didn't take the time to cut off and size for this doesn't get ruined from the etching on my plates. Really, really important and a great way for you to maximize your cardstock and your foils and your scraps, especially these that can etch really easily. So I did that ahead of time, and this is what I ended up with. Okay, so we've got the base there for our pineapple. Now, obviously, our pineapple needs a top. So I did the exact same thing now with the top of that pineapple, but this time I did it on a piece of old olive cardstock. And I did the exact same thing. I just putting it through my die cutting machine. This is just regular cardstock. I didn't cover it with the copy paper because obviously you don't have to worry about it marring from the plates. These cut lickety split. I have been so happy with the performance of these dies. All right, and that left me with this. All right, so let's talk about the base first. And for this, I'm going to need to cover my work surface because I want to teach you the next technique. This time, I kind of want to age or patina this finish because if you've ever seen a pineapple, you're going to see that there's areas on it that are browner than others. There's got a lot of texture to it. And I thought to myself, how can I get that on here by still having some shine to it? And I thought, and it worked perfectly. This is the Bronze Stampin' Blends marker. This is an alcohol-based marker. I absolutely love these to color with because they're flawless. They leave no streaking behind like a dye-based marker would. In addition to that, this bronze works really, really well for a skin tone, as well as an ivory that we have. And we've got lots and lots of colors. So I'm going to use the broader tip here. You're going to see this one's chiseled, and I'm going to open this up. Now watch what I'm going to do. I am not going to compromise the tip of this brush. I'm going to use the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stroke on some color just randomly. I'm not looking to color the whole thing. I want to make sure that some of that gold is going to peek through. This alcohol is going to have to evaporate on the surface of this foil before you manhandle it. Otherwise, you're going to have some residue on your fingers, which is another reason why I protected my work surface. If you want it darker, because now I've been jabbing, talking, I can go back over it and provide some more density in some areas, okay? I didn't want to cover up the whole foil, but obviously you can. So you'll have a little of that peeking through, but look at that. Isn't that neat? I don't know if you're gonna be able to appreciate that in the video because of the studio lights, but the photographs for this and the link below are really gonna give you some idea on how that turned out. All right, so let me put this part aside. Here's the next technique I wanna show you. I'm gonna flip this over. And this is called direct to paper. So I didn't want these to look all plain and boring and green like this. I wanted to add more texture and more depth. So direct to paper just means you're going to grab that ink pad, you're going to open it up. Love these because there's little grippers right here on the side to help hold it. And then all you're going to do is you're going to use the edges of your ink pad here, and you're just going to swipe a little color on. Now my head's far away, so bear with me here. And I'm going to come and go all the way around just to add a little bit of texture. This requires no skill level whatsoever. You can do as little or as much as you'd like. And you know what? I love to use the corner because I can find I can control it a little bit more without doing too much. All right, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to close that up for now. I'm going to set that aside. Let me ditch this. And the next thing I want to show you is how I add a little bit of texture to these. The great thing about this die is, look, it creates these little 3D openings in the pineapple leaves. And oh my gosh, I loved that. So I want to give you another tip, especially if you're making 3D projects. I like to use my Take Your Pick tool with the paper piercing tool attachment. Do you see how it's round here? And it's easy to use. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that leaf and I'm going to just kind of curl it around here just to get a little bit of texture to those leaves. Do you see that? So I'm doing this only on the ones that are die cut in the center. Now this is going to hold up really well on a 3D project. So let's think about gift bags and boxes, upcoming party favors, things you can actually put them on. You don't have to worry about it smashing. Now I did put them on my cards, and I found even after I mailed them, my mom's a great recipient of all my cards. She tells me that they actually kept some texture on them. So that made me pretty happy. All right, let's go ahead now and let's put the pieces together. And then don't forget, I've got other samples to share with you. All right, so I'm going to take this pineapple bottom. Here's our braided paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this pineapple base here. Now, I'm also going to tell you that if you want, and you are one of those people who loves detail, let me grab my mini dimensionals so I can show you. You can take your mini dimensionals and you can cut them with your scissors right here while they're on the paper backing and make them a little bit smaller, and you can put them up on inconspicuous areas. We're not doing that because that's like watching glue dry, right? So tonight I'm just going to use my glue dots to make it easier, or little tiny dabs of liquid glue. And again, I don't want you to have to watch the glue dry. So we're just going to work in inconspicuous areas. So there we go. I'm going to roll that to the back so that it won't show through those little openings of my pineapple. And let's do another one down here. Have you guys been making cards? Have you been sending them to people you think need a hug in the mail, who need a little encouragement? I hope so. That's what we do. We're going to make cards and we're going to send them. We're not going to let them sit in our closet because that's not what this is about, right? We want to be able to send encouragement to our family and friends during this time. And then I'm trying to think of where else I'm going to put this last one. I think I'm going to put it up there. I'm just making sure that it's not going to show. All right, I think I'm good to go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this down here in the lower right-hand corner of that braided card base, and we're going to tack that down. All right, my next step is going to be the top of my pineapple. Now, I chose to put this layer up on dimensionals because you can see here there's room for that. And I liked using my mini dimensionals for this because I didn't have to worry about my larger dimensionals showing. So I'm going to take my mini dimensionals and I'm going to place one there. You just want to balance these. You don't need to go crazy and make sure that they're covering every little inch. And I'm going to put another one there. And let me see, I think I've got one in here that I've already cut in half. I do. Let's take that one and let's place that one just down here, just so we've got a little balance on here. All right. The other great thing about this tool is now we can come in here and we can take off paper backings really easy rather than trying to peel them off with my fingernails. It helps to corral them too, so you can throw them away. And then I'm going to add this to the top of my pineapple right here. Okay. So far, so good. I want to add a greeting and an embellishment. Now, I didn't dare try to do this while you were watching me live because at my age, my head has to be super close to the paper to see where I'm going. So I did stamp it before you joined me. This is So Saffron cardstock. I used the exact color ink pad that I did for the direct to paper technique that's here. But this time I'm going to switch over to my larger dimensionals and I'll put those on the back. And remember, if you don't have these large dimensionals, of course you can buy them in my online store, but you can also cut them in half and make them smaller too. And I like to make sure my dimensionals are good and balanced because, like I said, my mom gets a lot of my cards and she tells me if I don't balance these, this comes out kind of wonky. She says it's not even. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right down here at the bottom. Boy, is this an apropos saying right now? Rest and relax. You deserve it. Yes. We're going to use this time intentionally. Now, I cut myself a piece of ribbon. And do you think for the life of me I can find it right now? Oh, here it is. It got buried on my table because it's almost the same color. What we're going to do is we're going to create a little bit of a decorative element here. This is about 7 inches of the braided trim. And I really like this because it's flexible. There's no right or wrong side. This is going to be a single loop bow. If you have never seen this before, I cannot wait to share with you how to make this. And I love this kind of bow because it's not feminine. So it's great for those masculine cards with this, which this can absolutely be. All right, so you're going to start with one end and make your loop just like you would a bow. And you're going to come around, and this time we're going to take that raw end and poke it through. And look, there we go. We've got this loop. You're going to pull it tightly. The biggest secret is to pull it nice and tight so you've got some security here. And then you can adjust the loop by pulling on the raw ends. The worst thing you can do is cut the ribbon or the twine or whatever you're using too short, and then you're just struggling. So I always say give yourself a little bit more than you need, and then you can always give it a haircut. And then I'm going to come in now with my glue dots. Here those are. I can't live without these things. I love them. And I'm going to put a couple on the back because this is a pretty good sized jute. And I want to make sure this is going to hold up really well in the mail. And that is going to go right here where these connect. Look at that. And then I'm going to come in with my scissors. I know my hands are probably in the way, sorry. And we're going to give that a little trim. And we're going to give that a little bit of a trim. And we're going to cut that away to finish it. Super duper easy. But I've got more cards for you. Okay, so let me just zoom you out a little bit and let me bring in those other samples. Now, I knew that someone was going to ask me, can you use that direct to paper technique on the background? And yeah, you can. So I made one that way just so that you could see the difference. And here it is. It's quite aged, isn't it? But isn't it fun for texture? Which one of these do you like better? Leave me a comment. I would love to know. And you know what? There's no right or wrong answer because we all have different taste. But this is even something the kids can do on those braided backgrounds. Just cover up your work surface and you're all set. Okay, so here's what we taught you today, a little bit of a variation for that background. Okay, here's my next one. This one uses the stamp set Hold On to Hope with coordinating Cross of Hope dies, a great Easter card, because you know what? We're just weeks away from Easter. Super, super cool, isn't it? So that gold foil here is, again, I just didn't patina it with that Stampin' Blends marker like I did here for the pineapple. Can you guys see the color differentiation now? I think you can a little bit better because of the lights. And then just a braid. This background is just using Versamark ink with that same image I used here. Do not overlook your stamp images for creating wonderful backgrounds. It's really bright and really cheerful and not your typical Easter colors. Work outside the box. Use what you have. If you don't have purples and pinks and yellows, don't fret. And then here is the last one. This uses the stamp set called Country Home. And then this Mother's Day greeting comes from the Itty Bitty Greetings, which is the same place that this greeting came from. I love that stamp set because there's literally words for everything. Same bordered edge. This is a small scrap of designer series paper. Don't you love that? You can use up your scraps really easy. I use the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers here to color this in. Super simple. And just add a little bit of that color here underneath that greeting to bring that background into play. And if you look closely, you're going to see there's not a whole lot of that Highland Heather color on here. That's okay because I'm letting the base of my card be the star. Isn't this technique wonderful? So much fun. Okay, I want to know which one is your favorite. So leave me a comment. I'm going to flip the camera around and I've got some exciting news to share with you. Now I can see your comments a little bit better. Bear with me here. Tomorrow, we found out that Stampin' Up! Is going to be adding some additional free products to the sale. There are only a few days left. No, we don't know what they are yet, but we do know that there are products coming from here that you can select for free, nor do I know how many. So now is a great time to place an order. So an order of $50 in product in my online store at lisastampstudio.com will score you a free product. If you wait till tomorrow, you got a few more things to choose from. Just a friendly tip for you. In addition to that, I offer exclusive and generous ordering rewards to all of my customers. With a $25 product order, you're going to get a reusable hand stamp card from me. You're also going to receive a private invitation to my Live with Lisa event that's held in a private YouTube link. So I would love to have you be with us. Also, if your order gets to be $50 in product, not only do you get to choose a freebie right now until the end of March, but you're going to get those other things. Plus, I'm going to send you a list of products that you can choose for free with your order. That list is sent to all my customers on the 25th of each month. It's imperative that you use the host code. You can find the host code over on my website. It's right next to the shop tab. You can't miss it. Just click, it pops right up. Don't use the host code though if you have a big order. An order of $150 or more will allow you to choose Stampin' Rewards, which is additional free stuff on top of all of that that Stampin' Up! Provides. And guess what? An order of $150 will allow you to choose three things from this book because it's for every $50 that you spend. And for those of you with those larger orders, there are even products in here in a $100 category if you want something a little bit bigger. Okay, so before we go, couple things as a reminder. Would love to send you the catalogs. Head over to lisastampstudio.com, click on contact me. We can get those right out in the mail to you, sent priority mail. US people only, sorry, we can't sell overseas. In addition to that, do me a favor, share today's video with your crafting friends. We all need encouragement. We really do. Now, I've got a challenge for you before we go, and I've got some other great news for you that's very impromptu. So my challenge for you is please make at least one card the rest of this week. Address it, put a stamp on it, send it to somebody. We all need a little sunshine right now in our mailboxes. We all need some encouragement. Friends, I can promise you this is going to end, but we don't know when. In the meantime, we're going to hunker down, we're going to stay well, and we're going to keep ourselves busy. We're going to be intentional. Do you want to know what I've been doing? Cleaning out that scrap bin. Boy, there was a lot of junk in there that I needed to get rid of. The best thing is I put it all in a Ziploc bag, and when it's safe for me to go there, I'm going to go drop it off at a foster care home system here in town so those kids can use it for their craft projects. Think about what you can be doing during this time. Board games and card games with your husband. Heck, give your husband or your loved one some stamps and ink and paper and let them just have some fun with you. This is a time to just kind of dial back while we all stay well. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is an impromptu thing. I decided today, after speaking with Megan, and we were both like, yes, let's do it. You know what? Lives are so much fun because it's really real, one on one. There's no there's no editing, I should say. So I'm going to come back to you earlier than anticipated. And I'm looking at my calendar to make sure I get the date right. Because I don't know about you, the dates are kind of blurring together right now, aren't they? I'm going to be back with you on Friday, April 3rd, which is next week, for another YouTube Live. And I just might have a special guest with me. It's going to be something fun. You're not going to want to miss it. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's family friendly. So enjoy those, ask those family members to join in with us. Boy, little tongue tied. Can you tell I've been alone too long? Have your family members join in for that live. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, April 3rd. The best compliment you can pay me is by sharing today's video with your crafting friends. And if you would, and if you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It certainly helps. Megan, thank you so much for everything and all your interaction tonight. Thank you all for being with me. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great night.